I'm going to be ranking the best cards right now in NBA 2K23. My team, as you guys can see, we do have a tier list here ranking from S that goes all the way down to D tier, and we have about 40 of the best cards currently in the game. So let me know in the comment section down below, who do you guys think are the best cards in my team right now? And of course, let me know what you guys would change about my tier list. Also, before we get into the ranking, I do want to say, like, I can't get every single card on this tier list. So if you guys don't see a card that you want to know where I'd rank, just let me know their name and their tier down below, and I'll tell you guys where I would rank that card. But first card here is going to be Scotty Barnes. I would probably throw him in that B tier category. A very solid point guard. He's 6'8" with a 7'2" wingspan, elite defensive stats, 94 block, 96 steal, 96 lateral quickness, 95 perimeter, 93 interior defense. Like, he's definitely a great defender. He's also good at going to the basket, having this defensive size up and the John Wall escape, and then his jump shot is definitely a decent release for a point guard. So at this time of the year, I would say Scotty Barnes probably in that B tier category. Not an amazing card at his position, but also not a bad card as well. AK-47, I would say is probably A or S tier. I'm not exactly sure how many cards I do want to have in the S tier category, but I do think AK is the best small forward in the game. He's elite on both ends of the ball, great defender, great offensive card. I mean, I think he's probably a top 5 to 7 card in my team, so I think I'll keep him in S tier for now. I mean, I do think he's the best small forward, great on the offensive end, and we all know AK is still one of the best defenders. I would say Jonathan Bender is probably B tier. Another really solid card. I mean, just like Scotty Barnes, not like the best at his position, but also not terrible. Like, he's still 7 foot, has a great jump shot, pretty good dribble sigs. I mean, the card's just an absolute demigod for the small forward spot. I just do think there are a couple better small forwards than Jonathan Bender. Ben Simmons, I do think is C tier for me. Now, I know a lot of people do like this Ben Simmons card, and they would probably have him in B or maybe even A tier. I mean, I guess I could go B. Yeah, I'll say him and Scotty Barnes are on the same level. I would say I prefer Scotty a little bit more than Ben Simmons, but I think they got to be in the same tier. Ben's still 6'11" with a 7-foot wingspan, really good defensive stats. He can rebound the ball. He's super good at finishing around the basket. I just don't like his jump shot, and the fact that he's only got a 65 3 ball, no shooting badges. I really do think hurts the card, but I think Ben Simmons, because of his size and his wingspan and his player model, I think he's probably still got to be in B tier. Bill Russell, I definitely don't think is S tier anymore, but I think he's probably A. Still the best defender in the game. He's 6'10", has a great wingspan, good player model. I mean, he's probably still A tier. Hero MJ, easily S. Now, this is not the elemental MJ. This is just going to be the hero version, because the elemental one is so much worse than the hero version, mainly because of the jump shot. I mean, the KPJ base compared to the MJ base is like light years away. You know, it's just like a massive difference. Like, it's not even comparable. The KPJ base makes this card so much better at the point guard spot compared to the elemental version. But yeah, Hero MJ, I do think is going to be in the S tier category. Best point guard in my team right now. I don't think it's really that close. I think he's clearly the best point guard in the game. Devin Booker, I would say, is probably B tier. I'm not sure if he's an A. I think he's a really solid point guard. He's great on the offensive end, and the playoff version and the high res are the exact same card. So they're both going to be, or they would both be in that B tier category. Dark Matter LeBron, I think you got to go C. Still a very fun card to use. He can still be valuable in game. Like, he's not a bad card by any means. Like, he's still 6'9", 7-foot wingspan. At the end of the day, it's still a LeBron James card in my team. So he's going to play super well in game, no matter his stats, his badges, or his animations, like his jump shot or his dribble sigs. He's still going to play at a very high level, and just mainly due to his player model and just those crazy animations that cards like LeBron do get. I think he's probably still going to be in C tier. Dark Matter Cade, I would say for me, is probably A. I do like him a little bit more than the Devin Bookers of the world, the Scotty Barnes, the Ben Simmons. I think he's probably just that one tier above, being 6'8" at the point guard position, really good at going to the basket, and I do think he's got a solid jump shot. So for me, I think Cade is probably in that A tier category. Dikembe Mutombo, also A tier. I don't believe he's a top, 7 card, top 8 card in my team right now. Still a really good big. Like, I think he's probably a top 3 to 4 center in the game. He's got a great jump shot. He's one of the best shot blockers in my team. I mean, all around, Dikembe is still a super good big man card, and I do believe he's going to be in that A tier category. Dino Raja, even though he's one of my favorite budget cards in the game, I think you got to go C tier. I think he's on that LeBron level for his position. He's just not like a top card at his position. He's really usable though, because he's super cheap. He's got a 7'11" wingspan, and you'll see this card on most budget squads in the game, or even just mid-level teams, because there's not too many kind of budget centers. I mean, we have got that Pink Diamond Peter card and the Galaxy Opal Sabonis recently, so maybe he's dropped off a little bit at the center spot, but now he can slide over to power forward and be one of the best budget power forwards in the game. But I do think Dino, for a best card tier list, is gotta be in that C tier category. The Hero Penny Hardaway, I think, is super close to being S tier. Really depends how many cards I want to have in S, because I think he's actually better than Jimmy Butler, who we'll talk about here in a second. I think he's better than Cade. I think him and Sean Livingston is very close. I think Sean might be slightly better just because of his jump shot, but I think Penny Hardaway, at least the hero version with those 10 extra Hall of Fame badges, is a huge, or a massively underrated card in the game. I think Penny is at least A tier, maybe even in that S tier category. Dark Matter D-Rob, you got to give him A tier, even though he's not like that top card at his position anymore. He still plays really good defense, has almost every single Hall of Fame defensive badge, still got a very solid jump shot. He's just a great big man in my team, and I think D-Rob probably still in that A tier category. Dwight Howard, I think, is very similar to D-Rob. I think they're basically the same card. I prefer Dwight a little bit more because I think their jump shots are super close, and Dwight is definitely better on the defensive end. He gets better animations than D-Rob for rebounding. Like, he's a way better rebounder in game, and he also plays a little bit better defense. I would say you can definitely notice a difference on the defensive end between Dwight and D-Rob, and it really just comes down to whose jump shot you do prefer. So for me, I think Dwight Howard and D-Rob both going to be an A tier. Taco Fall, easy S tier card, even though I think he's, you know, super overpowered and super unfair of a card, and I really wish he wasn't in the game because he's a 7'6" power forward. Like, I wish maybe he was at least only a center. That'd make things a little bit easier, you know, for the power forward spot, because now that every time a power forward drops, all everyone does is just compare him right to Taco Fall, and it's hard to compare a 7-foot or a 7'1" card to a 7-foot Taco Fall, who is one of the more OP and just glitchy cards in the game with his player model and his 8'2" wingspan. But if we're going off the best cards in the game, I think Taco Fall is still easily in that S tier category. Dark Matter Giannis, I would say, is on the LeBron level. I know some people don't like him as much nowadays, but I still think he does his job. He plays really good defense. He's a great rim runner, and just like LeBron, he gets those crazy good animations that I feel like he's still probably in that C tier category. Hakeem Olajuwon, I think you got to go A. I think him, D-Rob, and Dwight are all very similar at the power forward position. All great stretch. All of them can stretch the floor, but are mainly going to be defensive cards, and I do think Dwight is probably the best out of the three, but I do think they're all going to be in that A tier category. I mean, just great defensive cards who all have very solid jump shots. Jonathan Isaac, I would say, is C, just because of his defense. Like, if this card wasn't as good on the defensive end, he would easily be in D tier. But the fact that he's still one of the best locks in the game, I think you got to go Jonathan Isaac in at least C tier. You can maybe argue B on that Jonathan Bender level. He's still 6'11" at the small forward spot with a 7'2" wingspan, elite all-around defensive stats, and then does have tons of Hall of Fame defensive badges and a very capable jump shot. Like, he can knock down threes at a decently high level and create his own shot when need be. But I think Jonathan Isaac, for how many good cards, you know, at that top elite level or on this tier list, I think he's probably going to be in that C tier category. Jimmy Butler, I think, is on that Cade Cunningham, Penny Hardaway level. I would say these 3 point guards are also very comparable. You know, you can say Jimmy's better than Penny, and maybe Cade's better than Penny as well, or you can maybe say Penny's better than Cade. Like, I think Penny and Jimmy are like maybe slightly better than Cade, but I think it's all a really close debate for that point guard position. Like, it goes MJ number 1 at point guard for me, then it goes Penny, Cade, and Jimmy, and then it kind of drops down one more to like D Book, Scotty Barnes, Ben Simmons, and maybe some other point guards on this list. But for now, I do think Jimmy Butler gonna be in that A tier category. This Elemental MJ, am I crazy to say C tier? I just don't think he's a great card. That jump shot is terrible on the Elemental version. For people that don't know, like, the difference in a base makes the craziest of a difference, and also the Hero MJ does have the Kyle Lowry size up compared to the MJ size up, and that's also a massive difference as well. The Elemental MJ, he also doesn't have a great leaner. So this Elemental MJ doesn't have a good leaner. He doesn't have a good size up. He has a terrible jump shot. I mean, that is a huge difference compared to the other MJ. Yes, he's got great stats. Yes, he's got great badges, and he's still going to play very elite in game at the point guard position just based off his animations. But I think all around, I would take Devin Booker, Scotty Barnes, and Ben Simmons over MJ. So I think he's probably got to be in that C tier, or maybe even, it might sound crazy, maybe even that D tier category. Next card is going to be Kawhi Leonard. I think he's on that same tier as LeBron and Giannis. I do need to kind of have some cards in D tier, So I'm not exactly sure, like, does Dino go down to D tier? Does Jonathan Isaac go down to D, or do I go more of like the Kawhi Leonard MJ routes? I'm probably gonna have to decide that later in the video at the end of the tier list, but for now I think Kawhi Leonard probably gonna be in that C tier category. Sean Livingston, I think he's also on that Jimmy Butler, Penny Hardaway, Cade level. I would say he possibly even could be the best point guard out of these 4 names. He's got a great jump shot, really good dribble sigs, all around has like no flaws, because these 3 point guards, you know, you can name like 1 or 2 big flaws about the card, but for Sean Livingston, I don't think you could really even name 1 flaw, maybe 1 little one, but all around, I think Sean Livingston, one of the best point guards in the game. Kevin Durant, I think like I gotta have somebody in D tier, and I think LeBron's better at small forward. I think Giannis is better at small forward. I think Kawhi's a little bit better of a card. I just don't think Kevin Durant's that great. His jump shot is terrible in my opinion. I think his sigs are super mid. I think for me, he's probably going to be in that D tier category alongside Kobe. Now, I will say, these are not bad cards in the sense to like, you know, other budget small forwards or to other small forwards in the game. I'm comparing Kevin Durant, Kobe, Kawhi, you know, these amazing real life players. I'm comparing their cards to the best cards in the game, which are AK-47 at small forward, Bill Russell, you know, Jonathan Bender, you know, some other small forwards we'll talk about here in a second. These are the best cards at their position. So I'm not saying Kobe or KD are necessarily bad cards. I'm just comparing them to some of the best cards currently in my team. Kristaps, I think, is probably, I would say Kristaps is S. I think he's better than all the bigs I have in A tier, the Dwight Howards, the D-Robs, the Dikembes. I do think he's slightly better, so I will go Kristaps S tier. He's 7'3" with a 7'6" wingspan, really good jump shot on the card, and I do feel like he plays solid defense. Kyle Kuzma for me, I think is probably B. I think you could argue A tier. I think Kuzma is a very underrated small forward in the game. I'm gonna go B tier for now, but I do think he's not that much worse than an AK-47, so maybe he does get moved up to A tier later in the video. Magic Johnson, I'm going C tier. I just don't think he's that great of a point guard. Like, am I crazy to say D? I just really do not like this Magic Johnson card. He's got a terrible jump shot. He moves super sluggish with the basketball. He's not even like that good of a defender. So I'll go C tier for now for Magic, but I really do not like this Magic Johnson card. Purvis Ellison, I think is kind of like on that, you know, Kyle Kuzma, Jonathan Bender level. I think they're probably going to be in B tier. I think you could argue A for all 2 or 3 of these small forwards, but I'm going to keep him in B tier for now and see if I want to move him around later in the video. Peter, I think you got to go A. I think he's such an elite such an elite center, sorry. 7'2", 7'10" wingspan, great defender, also does have an amazing jump shot. I think he's actually going to be in that A tier category. Paul George, once again, I think is D tier. I think Kawhi Leonard might also be D. I don't know. I'm going to have to kind of move around, you know, C and D tier, but he's just like not a great card compared to how good of a shooting guards and how good of small forwards we have in the game currently. I think Kareem is probably A. I mean, he's still got great defense, really good wingspan, really good player model, super athletic big man. He's 7'2" and can play power forward. I think he's got to go in at least A tier. Same thing with Ricky Davis. I think is a really good offensive shooting guard, has a great jump shot, good dribble sig, solid defense. He's 6'7" at the 2. I think he's probably got to go in A tier. Sabonis for me, am I crazy to say B tier? I just do not like this card as much as other people. Now, I know this might be a lot about preference, but for me, I would take the Pink Diamond Peter. I would take the Kembe. I would take Reem. Like, I would take Cream over the Sabonis card. Now, I know a lot of people do like him, so they might go A tier, or even maybe some people S tier. I know he's really good, and he still is an amazing center card. I just cannot agree with his jump shot. So for me, this comes down to preference. I'm going B tier for Sabonis. Now, I think a lot of people would have him in A tier. I just don't know if I can put him S, or if I can put him A. I just really don't know. I would take the Kembe and Peter over him at the center position. I don't know, because the more that I've used Sabonis, I can just not time his jump shot for the life of me. So I think for me, I'm gonna go Sabonis and B tier. Also, another B tier card is gonna be Malik Sealy. His jump shot's just super mid, and his sigs are okay. Like, he's definitely a solid shooting guard. Next card here, though, is gonna be the Galaxopoulos Sengun. I think Sengun's probably on that same tier as a Ben Simmons and a Scotty Barnes. I think he's definitely a solid point guard, just not gonna be on the Penny, Cade, Sean Livingston level in my eyes. Shaq, I think, is D tier. For me, I just do not like the Shaq card. I also I'm realizing now that I left Wilt off this list. Completely forgot about Will Chamberlain. He'd probably also be C tier, just in case anybody is wondering. But Shaq's not a bad card. I know some people can be super dominant with him. Just for me, I need my center to be able to shoot the ball at a way higher level, and I just cannot agree with that Shaq card wide open. Yao Ming, easy S tier card. I mean, pretty obvious. I think Yao Ming's still got to be an S tier. Steve Smith, I think, is super close to S tier. I think he's on that Tracy McGrady level. And then talking about T-Mac and Terry, I think both those guys got to go in the S tier category. Super elite shooting guards in the game that I think are the two best maybe cards in the game. I would say Yao Ming, Terry, and T-Mac are the three best cards. And then James Worthy, I do think rounds us off at that B tier level. So I want to move around some cards on this tier list. We have 7 cards in S. I kind of want to keep it like that. I was thinking maybe moving like a Steve Smith, a Penny Hardaway, a Sean Livingston into S tier, but I think I'll keep it like this for now. Maybe I'll come back and move it here in a second. B tier, I might move like Kuzma. I might move him up to A tier because I think Kuzma is a really good small forward card. And then I think I'll keep D tier like this and C tier like this because I think these guys in C tier are slightly better than the cards in D. But let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think about my best cards tier list? And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.